We're going to play just a short introduction video that really gives you an understanding of what this whole organization we run is called and what it does. And here it is.
When you travel the world and you see the kind of things children endure, it just makes you want to find ways to improve their lives.
මම හිටියේ හොස්පිටල් එකේ මම ඒ වෙනකොට දැනගෙන හිටියේ
या दफा दूध خیز من نفهمیدم سعی کردم گوشتای دستم اینجا گوشتای دستم کنده شده بود من خورد بودم چیزا نمیفهمیدم
No Strings works with puppets to help children understand more about the constant threats that surround them and to be better prepared to cope with them.
Take just what you need!
My name is Johnie McGlade. I've been a humanitarian aid worker for 20 years. It's amazing how kids are transfixed by puppets and how they're drawn in to learn life-saving messages. Michael Frith was the head of art and design for Jim Henson's Muppets for over 20 years. His wife Kathy Mullen was a long-time Muppet performer and has become a writer and director. They brought together everything we needed: top puppet builders, puppeteers and crew.
adalah desa Wanabolo.
We film in New York, but everything's translated and voiced in country by local actors and local people. We run workshops training local aid workers and teachers how to use hand puppets. So after the film they can engage with the kids to help them explore how what they've seen is directly relevant to them.
What's that? Oh wait! هغه هلک نقل واورو چې د غالۍ نه جوړ شوی دا نقل
سپکنې ماینونه
Young people like fun, and with the use of the puppet, it is all fun.
What can we do to avoid getting HIV? Is it right? Yes.
They learn the truth, and with the truth as their weapon, they learn how to fight HIV/AIDS and not each other. What about you? What have you learned?
When did this all start? Well, my journey actually began as a chef in the Cayman Islands, of all places, where a friend of mine gave me this puppet called Seamus. And Seamus and myself had a lot of good laughs, to a degree where actually I thought that I was a relatively good puppeteer. I now know I'm not. But due to my fundraising activities in the Cayman with the Irish aid organisation, I was asked to visit, actually work, in South Sudan. So who did I bring? I brought Seamus. Now why did I bring Seamus? Well, initially I just thought it would be a wonderful, entertaining tool with my fellow aid workers. But I discovered very quickly, when I went to some of the feeding camps, that there was this instant impact with Seamus the puppet and these kids. Now you must remember these kids were severely malnourished, and yet to see a smile on their face when they saw Seamus, I knew that there was a huge impact there. I knew we had something. Now, I was only training myself. I went from a chef in the Caymans to an aid worker in South Sudan. So over the next few years, I was learning, how to be an aid worker. Seamus came everywhere. Angola, East Timor, Kosovo. He was always there. But it wasn't until post 9/11, when I was working in Afghanistan, where I guess we reached new heights. I was working at a program where we were feeding 30,000 people every single day with Afghan bread. Now, the whole idea of that is mind-boggling. That was really hard work, but what was really difficult was the distribution. And any time there was mayhem in the camps of distribution, who did they call on? Seamus the puppet. And inside minutes, there would be proper lines, proper cues. They would listen to Seamus through an interpreter than anyone. It was extraordinary. And then a strange thing happened once I got back to London. I was talking to my flatmate. He was going over some photographs of my work in Afghanistan, and he saw this puppet, or she saw this puppet. And she went, "What were you doing with a puppet? You were doing a feeding program." And I explained to her, and she turned around and says, "Well, my aunt and uncle are Michael Frith and Kathy Mullen." So I said, "You know, they work with the Muppets." And I said, "You've got to be kidding me." I was blown away, so I said, "I must call." So I called Kathy, and strangely enough, Kathy and Michael, post 9/11, were actively looking to work in Afghanistan as well. I mean, how many coincidences are there? So it didn't take too long to be convinced to fly to New York, probably about 10 seconds, but it took me 2 weeks to get there. And in those few days I was with Kathy and Michael, we realized that the only way to move forward with this potential, with this wonderful tool, is to create our own aid organization, hence No Strings International. And our first program actually was in Afghanistan, landmine awareness. Now, fast forward 10 years, No Strings International now works in 20 countries, dealing with issues such as HIV/AIDS in Africa, hygiene programs in Haiti and West Africa, peace building in Iraq and in Syria. And of course, one of our first programs as well was, which you know, it's a global problem, obviously, is natural disasters in the Philippines, Madagascar, and Indonesia. Now, what we discovered, though, very early on, was that we needed more than just the film. You know, the film was just excellent, but we needed to, I guess, go deeper. We needed to expand. We came up with activities. They were wonderful. But the big thing was we developed these incredible workshops. Oh, you know what? I haven't.
That's Seamus, by the way, in Afghanistan.
I'm Irish. I just
Johnny's
talk,
on the other end of it.
There's Seamus getting beaten up in Afghanistan. There he is again with what looks like me. Now this is important because we're coming on to our workshop. There's my lovely wife in the middle right beside me there. It's a very family business, this, isn't it? Now what happens here, what happens when we go in with our film? I oversee the dubbing. And Kathy and our beautiful Lisa there as well, our creative team, will work very closely with our international and local partners who put forward between 30 and 50 participants to attend these workshops. Now the workshop is broken down, I suppose, loosely into two areas. One where we call it trainer of trainers, where we would actually train these participants to become trainers themselves. One trainer might train 10, that ripple effect, if you like. On the other side, we actually then teach them the different forms of puppetry. Here we have actually what we call a second generation group. These are a group who've already been trained by our participants. We have nothing to do with this other than we so happen to be in Rizal in the Philippines to watch our participants take on the workshop. Here we have stick puppets. This is wonderful, just very basic. It's important to realize too that the materials we use in the workshops and with the dissemination is materials which are locally sourced. So here you see the stick puppets easily made. We have sock puppets. We have this wonderful shadow puppetry, which is very, 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 oh, I was waiting for that, you know. So I guess my turn's over now. But Kathy will fill you in on the more interesting stuff, actually. The more interesting stuff.
Thank you, I'll take that.
Oh, yeah.
My turn, right? So you can get away with anything with a puppet. And that's really what I'm going to talk about. So Johnie has given you an idea of what we do and how we do it. Why do we do it? Well, we do it because there are hundreds and thousands, probably millions of kids out there who live in incredibly dire circumstances. And these kids are at risk every day, at risk of death every day because of what they do not know. They need to know things that are really, they are personally at risk for. And we can't just do this with them. We can't just talk to them. We have to give them something more. What do we use? We use puppets. They are universal. Puppets are all over the world, and many cultures have their own puppet traditions that go way back. They're timeless. Puppets have been since prehistory and will probably go on forever. They are non-threatening and they are symbolic, and that's very important. But one of the reasons we use puppets is, and not say actors or animation, is because they're real. So when you bring that puppet into that room and the child can see the puppet directly, that puppet can be touched, can be talked to, it can be hugged. Now granted, we do our stories on video. Why do we do this? Because it has a long reach, we can dub it into any language, all these reasons. We want to get the message out there. But when that trainer that Johnie was talking about goes into that classroom with that puppet, it has that instant impact that he experienced in the field. Because the truth is, when puppets speak, children listen. They do. Don't ask me why. It's a miracle. I don't know why. They just do it. And the fact is, when you're trying to get something important across to a kid, you know, we all do it every day. You want to tell the child something like, eat your vegetables, don't play in traffic. Oh, and by the way, don't step on that landmine over there. Well, they listen. They focus, they hear, they heed, and the fact is they remember. That's what we need them to do. We need them to remember these messages. Puppets can do that. It works. Another thing puppets can do that's really quite wonderful and quite magical is they can say just about anything we want them to say. They're a puppet. They can say it. Now, we have to tell these kids some pretty horrible things, some pretty scary things. It would be very hard to do with real actors. We have to tell them things like, well, this.
Still not talking, yeah? Well, now you're gonna get your wish.
Good. Because do you know what I wish for? I wish I could leave this place and never, ever, ever come back.
I don't think that's going to happen. You see, you belong to us.
Yeah, abuse. This was a clip from a film we did for Haiti about a little girl who was actually sold by her poor family to another family where she becomes their slave and is abused. And this is not an uncommon scenario in Haiti. And these kids, they don't know that that's not okay. They don't know that they are people and that they have rights, and they think it's their fault. They need to know this. Puppets can do this. Puppets can show that. Why? Because they're abstracted just enough. It's a step back. You know, it's like it's you, but it's not you. It represents you. So we can do that with puppets, and it doesn't disturb the message at all. As a matter of fact, the message still comes through loud and clear. But it isn't always that dire. It can be more day-to-day stuff, something like this.
You're right, buddy. I hope he does not, What did I tell you? That guy has diarrhea for sure. I hope he makes it to the latrine this time. Otherwise, he's going to spread that sickness around.
And yeah, it can be funny. Great, we want to entertain them, but the fact is, we don't want kids drinking contaminated water out of the local stream next to the garbage heap, because they will get diarrhea. And guess what? Diarrhea can kill them, and it's one of the biggest killers in the world today of young children. So they need to know this, and puppets can show them this. And you know what? Puppets work. And another thing that puppets do that Johnie and his team experiences in the workshop is children can make their own puppets. and they can tell their own stories with these puppets. And we have experienced so many times in those workshops and in these classrooms that a traumatized child, or adult for that matter, but a traumatized child who is too fearful, too angry, too ashamed to speak about their experiences can pick up that puppet, and through it, they can tell their stories. And more importantly, they can feel their feelings.
How does a doll talk?
You made her. How do you think she talks?
Hey, Antoinette! Hello, Antoinette! Hello, Antoinette. I came to play with you. Don't you want to play with me, Antoinette? Oh. Are you very sad, Antoinette? I'm very sad, too. Why are you so sad? I'm sad because my mom and dad, they died in the earthquake. The house fell down and they got buried. I could hear them call me. I tried to dig. I tried, but I couldn't. I couldn't move anything. I should have. I should have been stronger. I should have tried harder. I hate me. Hate me. I hate me.
No.
I hate me.
No.
That clip is from a film we did for Haiti about a little boy, who wants nothing more in the world than to get his little sister to speak to him because she hasn't spoken since the earthquake. And do you know that actually happened? There were two little girls, sisters, that had been rescued, and they had not spoken after that earthquake for 3 years. They saw this film, and they spoke. They had a cathartic moment. And more importantly, they were given permission to feel their feelings. But it doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes it can be this.
Okay, Sarah. Sarah, listen to this one. It's a good one. What did the 100-pound mouse say? I don't know. What? Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. She laughed.
Sometimes you can make somebody laugh. And that, as the main character in this little film, which was for Syria, by the way, about a little boy who was orphaned in the war, and his little sister, and he learned to use his talents and powers to give her some joy. And that, as the main character says, is a very powerful thing. So, we use puppets. Why? Because they work. And Johnie, did you have one more thing you wanted to say?
No, other than, I guess, if you boil it down to one word, I would have said hope.
Yeah.
With a little laughter.
And the fact is that it's hope and empowerment, but the greatest of these is hope. And that's, if we can give them that, that's everything. So thank you.